First of all, I would like to introduce my Group 2 members. Starting from the left, Nur Suhaiza binti Adam with metric number BABL 200600002. Secondly, Nurul Farah Izwani binti Zainuddin with metric number BABL 2005980. Thirdly, Nurul Amirah binti Romanah with a metric number BABL 2005920. Arif Imran bin Muhammad Al-Kaf with a metric number BABL 200598789. Next, Nurul Akilah binti Zahari with a metric number BABL 2005996. Next, Ain Nadia binti Bahran with a metric number BABL 2005937. Last but not least, Nur Hazirah binti Mat Zahir with a metric number BABL 200598887.
An infectious disease that has spread from a non-human animal to human is known as a zoonosis. Zoonotic disease can be bacterial, viral, parasitic, or include unusual agent, and they can transmit to people by direct contact, food, drink, or the environment. Because of our intimate contact with animals in agriculture as companion and in the natural environment, they are a serious public health hazard across the world. Zoonoses have the potential to affect the production and commerce of animal products for food and other purposes. Continuing the introduction, zoonoses account for a considerable portion of all newly discovered infection, illness, as well as a huge number of existing ones. Some illness such as HIV start off as zoonosis but evolve into human-only strain over time.
Rabies is a zoonotic disease that can cause acute encephalitis, which is a brain inflammation to the person or the animal that affected with it. Rabies is most common in countries where stray dogs is present in large number, with Asia and Africa accounting 95% of the cases. The virus can infect both domestic and wild animals. Dogs are mostly the main source of human rabies death. Any mammal can harbor or transmit the virus, but smaller mammals such as rodents rarely become infected or transmit rabies. Caused by Lysa virus, including the rabies virus and Australian bad lyssavirus. Rabies is transmitted through direct contact, such as broken skin or mucous membrane of the eyes or mouth with saliva and nervous tissue from the infected animal. Contraction of rabies through inhalation of virus containing aerosol or transplantation of infected organ are described but extremely rare. Human-to-human transmission through saliva or bite is theoretically possible but never been confirmed. The same applies via consumption of raw meat of infected animals. The risk factors of rabies are activities that are likely to put you in contact with rabies virus, such as camping or exploring caves, travel in countries where rabies is common, on internet, or working as a veterinary or in laboratory where rabies is present. Rabies is transmitted through direct contact. It begins to replicate before move to the peripheral nerves. Since the tissue is stationary, the virus jumps from nerve to nerve on its way to the brain. The time from the bite to the brain is called the incubation period. At the end of the incubation period, the virus reaches the brain. As the virus reaches the brain, it moves to salivary gland. At this point, the animal becomes infectious and can transmit the virus. The virus has infected the brain tissue enough and begin to affect the animal behavior.
The symptoms of this disease is quite similar to flu, which is discomfort, weakness, and headache. The other symptoms for this disease is agitation, contusion, prickling, itching, anxiety, and fever. Diagnosis of rabies can be divided into two, which is in animal and human. In animal, rabies virus was detected from any part of the affected brain, and the test must include tissue from at least two locations in the brain, which is brainstem and cerebellum. In human, we will use the sample of saliva, serum and spinal fluid, and skin biopsies of the hair follicle. Saliva can be tested by virus isolation or reverse transcription followed by polymerase chain reaction. Serum and spinal fluid are tested for antibodies for rabies virus. Body biopsy specimen are tested for rabies antigen in the cutaneous nerve at the base of the hair follicle. There is no effective treatment for this disease, and this disease usually causes death to humans. To prevent ourselves from getting this disease is by vaccinate our dogs and cats frequently, leave the stray cats and dogs alone, and keep our cats and dogs under control.
Lyme disease is a bacterial infection produced by Borrelia burgdorferi and spread by tick bites. It affects both domestic animals, which are dogs, horses, and potentially cats. And Lyme disease may be transmitted by at least 4 tick species. The majority of Lyme disease transmission, however, are caused by the bite of microscopic bug known as a tick or black-leg tick. Ixodes basilificus on the west coast and Ixodes scapularis in the northeast and midwest are the scientific names for the ticks involved. In Europe and Asia, the major vectors are Ixodes ricinus and Ixodes basilicatus. It's vital to remember that ticks don't cause Lyme disease, rather they contain and transmit the germs that do. The spiral-shaped bacteria Borrelia burgdorferi is carried inside a tick and enters the bloodstream of a dog through a tick bite. Once in the bloodstream, germs can spread to many parts of the body, causing issues in a specific organs or sites, such as joint, as well as general sickness. Despite the fact that dogs and cats can have Lyme disease, there is no proof that they pass it on to their owners. Infected tick can, however, be brought into our house or yard by dogs. Consider using tick control solution for animals to safeguard our pet and maybe ourselves. While in horse, caused by spirochete bacteria Borrelia burgdorferi, ticks infected with Borrelia burgdorferi transfer the infection to horses by biting them and spreading the bacteria through their saliva. Lameness, enlarged lymph node, joint swelling, weariness, and loss of appetite are some of the most frequent Lyme disease symptoms in dogs. Lyme illness in dogs has also been linked to significant renal issues. While in horse, shifting leg, lameness, generalized stiffness, hypersensitivity to touch, weight loss, and poor performance are some of the clinical indications of Lyme disease in horses. The bacterium can sometimes invade the central nervous system and cause neurological symptoms.
causative agents of Lyme disease in humans. How to diagnose the Lyme disease? First, we have to check the history of the dog activity that has been exposed to the black ticks within past years. Second, we have to run 2 tests. Both of these laboratory tests are using blood sample. First is CC test. The CC test is a preliminary blood test that detects antibody against a very specific protein called C6. This protein is unique to the Borrelia bacteria, and the presence of the antibody to C6 suggests exposure to the Borrelia and infection. C6 antibody can be detected 4 weeks after the dog gets bitten. If the tests are positive, they have to run the qualitative C6 test, that is QCC test, to determine the level of antibody for the treatment justification. Prevention treatment from the disease. First, we have to make sure the lawn is always tick-free. Second, for the household, we have to use the veterinarian product. Next, for the dogs or our pets, we have to vaccinate them and have to check their skin from the dirt and ticks that can cause the infection. Then, antibiotic treatment should be considered. If the QC6 is less than 30 ml and there is no sign of illness, then the treatment may not be necessary. If the animal has been infected, we can use the doxycycline antibiotic to remove the ticks from their skin or fur. Transmission of the ticks. The ticks cannot be transmitted through skin contact, that is, person to person. They are infected by the bitten of infected blackguard ticks. The ticks will penetrate the skin and release the bacteria into the bloodstream. Once the bacteria reach to the bloodstream, they will infect the organ and joints and will affect all of the bodies. That's all for the Lyme disease. Thank you.
Disease that result from the scratch or bite of a cat. Most infections usually occur after scratches from domestic or feral cats, especially kittens. CSD occurs wherever cats and fleas found. The disease spreads when an infected cat licks a person's open wound or bite or scratches a person hard enough to break the surface of the skin. In addition, kittens which are younger than 1 year are more likely to have this infection and to spread the germ to people. Kittens are more likely to scratch and bite while they play and learn how to attack prey. As we know, pathogen is defined as an organism causing disease to its host. Now, let us see what is pathogenic of CSD. CSD is caused by a bacterium called Bartonella henselae, a diverse group of blood-borne gram-negative bacteria. Almost half of all cats carry the infection at some point. The infection does not make cats sick. However, the scratch or bite of an infected cat can cause symptoms in people, including swollen lymph nodes, especially around the neck, head, and upper limb. About 40% of cats carry Bartonella henselae at some time in their life. Although most cats with this infection show no signs of illness, domestic cats are the natural reservoir of Bartonella henselae, which is the main agent of CSD. Bartonella henselae is most frequent in stray cats, cats in shelter, and young cats infested with fleas. Not everyone who has been licked or scratched by a cat needs to go to the doctor. If you have been infected with CSD, you will have symptoms. These symptoms don't happen right away. Most of the time, they appear days after you have been around a cat. The first sign is often a red bump, sore, or blister at the site of the scratch or bite. This may not hurt, but it often has a grass and could contain pus. Secondly, within the next 2 weeks and even after the bump has healed, you could have a fever, and it could be a low-grade fever, meaning a fever that lasts than 37 Celsius.
Next, about 3 to 14 days after the skin is broken, a mild infection can occur at the site of the scratch or bite. A swollen lymph node will appear near the bite or scratch site. These enlarged tender lymph nodes will develop 1 to 3 weeks after exposure. Factors that can increase your risk for getting cat scratch disease include: first, being around cats on a routine basis, especially kittens that are more playful and apparently to accidentally scratch you. Second, not cleaning scratches or bites from a cat as soon as you get them. Last but not least, allowing a cat to lick any open wounds that you have. That's all from me. Thank you.
As we know, domestic cats represents one of the largest populations of household pets worldwide, implies a potentially high risk of humans occurring CSD or cat scratch disease. The cat flea, Tenacious felis, is the main source of transmission by intradermal inoculations of flea feces. As with cat-cat transmission, cat-human transmission involves the presence of flea. It is believed that zoonotic infection occur most commonly through inoculation of contaminated flea feces into the body through scratches. Transmissions via bites could also occur if infected flea feces were present at the site of the bite or in the mouth of the animal. For the diagnosis, both human and animals needed culture of Bartonella henselae from blood or infected tissues, such as lymph node or heart valve, or detection of Bartonella species DNA by PCR. Culture can be difficult, and B. henselae will not be recovered using routine blood culture methods because of the fastidious, slow-growing nature of the organism. 10 to 50 days may be required before visible colonies can be identified. Selective culture media, or a combination of selective culture and PCR, has higher yield. Recently, commercial testing using PCR from BAPGM enriched samples has become available commercially, and this may greatly improve the diagnosis of B. henselae infections. There are many ways of prevention to reduce exposure in the feline reservoir, which is achieved mainly through flea control. Proper flea control can eliminate the vector and is likely to have a profound effect on the likelihood of transmission from cats to people. Secondly, involves prevention of human exposure, particularly through proper wound care and prevention of scratches and bites. Clean thoroughly and wash any bites or scratches promptly, and prevent cats from licking skin wounds or abrasions. Thirdly, keeping cat indoors at all times is recommended to reduce the chance of infection and flea infestation. Particular care should be taken around cats at higher risk of being infected, such as kittens, feral cats, outdoor cats, and also cats with fleas.
As a conclusion, when suitable animal care and suitable preventative measures are used in the human environment, the risk of zoonoses is reduced. However, the dangers are not zero, and certain actions such as kissing, sleeping, getting licked, or sharing food or cooking utensils, or exposure of people in high-risk group might result in companion animals contracting disease. Better diagnostic methods have also improved our understanding of all zoonotic and potentially zoonotic pathogens in our immediate surrounding. Finally, pets serve as great sentinels for detecting viruses that can infect humans in the environment where they dwell or when they travel with people.